In the quiet hours before dawn, when studio lights are still dark and the city breathes in a softer rhythm, Craig Melvin often finds himself reflecting on conversations that linger long after the cameras stop rolling. And one, in particular, Hoda Kotb's unfiltered reflection on the personal toll of public life, has stayed with him in a way he didn't expect, because it echoed truths he and his wife, Lindsay Czarniak, have come to understand over decades of living in plain sight while trying to protect the most private corners of their hearts. Hoda spoke not with bitterness, but with a gentle honesty earned through years of showing up for viewers while quietly carrying the weight of loss, resilience, joy, and uncertainty. And as Craig listened, he recognized that same delicate balance he has tried to maintain since the early days of his career, when ambition felt limitless and the cost of visibility seemed abstract, something that happened to other people, until time revealed that every public smile requires a private reckoning. For an audience now in their 60s, who remember when news anchors felt like steady companions in their living rooms, Hoda's words land with particular force because they mirror the arc of a life well lived, but not without sacrifice. The missed family dinners, the birthdays celebrated on different days, the quiet grief processed alone so the world could be reassured everything was fine. Craig, now seasoned by years of early mornings and late nights, understands that public life is not just about fame or recognition, but about constancy, about being present even when personal reserves feel thin. And Lindsay, herself no stranger to the demands of broadcasting, has often reminded him that strength is not the absence of vulnerability, but the wisdom to know when to share it and when to hold it close. Hoda's reflection peeled back the polished surface to reveal the human cost beneath, the way public trust can become both a privilege and a burden, especially as the years pass and one begins to measure success less by ratings and more by relationships, health, and peace of mind. Craig thinks of the mornings Lindsay gently urges him to slow down, to savor coffee instead of rushing, to remember that longevity in life matters more than longevity on air, advice that resonates deeply with viewers who have themselves transitioned from career-driven decades into a season of reflection where legacy is defined by kindness, presence, and honesty. Hoda's courage to speak openly about the emotional toll of being on all the time offers permission to an entire generation to acknowledge their own fatigue without shame, to recognize that carrying others through national moments of grief or celebration leaves an imprint, and Craig feels a quiet gratitude for colleagues like her who normalize these conversations in a culture that once prized stoicism above all else. As he watches Lindsay navigate motherhood, professional fulfillment, and personal authenticity with grace, he sees how partnership becomes an anchor against the shifting tides of public expectation, much like the way long marriages among their peers have weathered storms through mutual respect rather than grand gestures. The poignancy of Hoda's reflection lies not in regret, but in clarity, in understanding that public life amplifies everything. Joy feels brighter, loss feels heavier, and time feels more urgent. And Craig knows that many in their 60s feel this same urgency, a desire to spend remaining years intentionally, to choose depth over breadth, meaning over momentum. He recalls moments when viewers stopped him to say his calm presence helped them through illness, retirement, or widowhood, and he realizes that this quiet service is the unseen reward that balances the unseen cost, a truth Hoda articulated with rare grace. Lindsay often says that the real measure of a career is whether it allows you to remain yourself at the end of the day. In Hoda's words, affirm that preserving one's inner life is an act of courage, especially when the world expects endless accessibility. For Craig, the lesson is not to retreat from public life, but to engage with it more honestly, to model a version of success that honors rest, family, and emotional truth, offering viewers not just information, but companionship and the shared human experience of aging, remembering, and letting go. In this way, Hoda Kotb's unfiltered reflection becomes more than a personal confession. It becomes a mirror held up to anyone who has given years of themselves to others, reminding them that it is never too late to reclaim balance, to speak gently to oneself, and to step into the next chapter with gratitude rather than exhaustion.
a message that resonates deeply with those who have lived long enough to know that the most meaningful applause often comes not from the crowd, but from the quiet peace of knowing you showed up as fully as you could, and that you are finally allowing yourself to rest.